Welcome back to One Hit Wonderland, where we look at bands and artists known for only one song. And I am doing another request here, and let's see what we got today. Flood by Jars of Clay. Does anyone know this one?
But if I can't swim after 40 days and my mind is crushed by the crashing waves that be up so high.
Nope, not ringing a bell. No, I've never heard this. Well, it's very 90s, clearly. One of the 90s things I've ever seen. And, lyrics seem kinda spiritually inclined. Wait a minute.
Downpour on my soul.
I think I've heard of these guys. Wait, they were that Christian band. Yeah, they were that Christian alternative band that was popular for like 5 minutes in the mainstream. I remember them, vaguely. Oh man, it finally happened. I finally have a chance to beat on that creative wasteland that is contemporary Christian music. Thank you, sir. I've always wanted to take a hammer to this zombie genre of gutless, watered-down backwash. I'm gonna tear this piece of crap some new stigmata. Hope you're ready, dude, because I'm gonna stomp this request in the ground for you. Reverend. I may dial that back some. May need to tread a little lighter than I was going to here. So, let's have a respectful discussion about Jars of Clay, the pioneers of Christian alternative rock. Yeah. Wasn't I just reviewing a band of Satan worshippers last week? Jars of Clay were formed in the early 90s in Greenville, Illinois, while the band members were all at the same college. Their name is a biblical reference from 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 7, as any biblical scholar such as myself would already know. This is a Game of Thrones book. Okay, look, I'm a little out of my depth here. I don't know this genre at all. It's been a while since I've been to church, you know? I was raised in the church. I like to think I'm at least respectful of people's beliefs, but I wasn't ever exposed to much Christian music. My church experience was pretty mellow and mostly positive, if kind of dull. I mean, this genre of music is for people whose upbringing was more intense. Yeah, I have a lot of friends who have a much more extensive and, in a lot of cases, negative experience with religion, and they're largely who I know anything about Christian rock from. What little I have seen, I feel safe in saying sucks.
I like big bubbles and I cannot lie.
Some of it in funny ways, but mostly it's just excruciatingly bland. It seems pretty much for people who have never struggled to find salvation. You know, happy people. And quite honestly, I just don't like happy people. Don't trust them, never have. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. The biblical reference Jars of Clay is about how we have the treasure of salvation, but it's kept in jars of clay, which is a metaphor for our own stupid, fragile, useless human bodies. So, at the very least, their brand of Christianity seems to be a more humble, less arrogant version than, say, Kirk Cameron's. So, who knows? Maybe it's gonna be okay. Okay, Christian music crossovers aren't exactly unheard of, but the line separating them is still very clear and distinct. Creed, for example, had very religious lyrics, but they weren't on a Christian label. They weren't sold to exclusive Christian markets. Jars of Clay were. And they weren't like previous crossovers like Amy Grant or Michael W. Smith, who made VH1 garbage. These guys were playing on actual rock stations. How?
Rain on my face.
I mean, if you've ever been station surfing on a road trip and got tricked into listening to the Christian stations, then yes, you know how quick you notice the edgeless crappiness that distinguishes Christian music from the mainstream. And here, we're talking about 90s alternative. You know, the genre of disaffected, alienated heroin addicts. A Christian contemporary band making it there? That doesn't make any sense. Alt-rock in the mid-90s had absolutely no interest in matters of God.
Tell me all your thoughts on God.
What if God was one of us?
Okay, point taken. Yeah, remind me to remember those songs for later episodes. But still, there's a real difference between the questioning spirituality of those songs and the boring Christian rock message of, I love you, God, you're just so great, blah, 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 love, faith, whatever.
My world is a flood. But slowly I become one with the mud.
But if I can swim after 40 days and my mind is crushed by the crashing waves that be up so.
Actually, in this case, it's not that different at all. If I didn't know this was Christian, I'd never guess. I don't actually know anything about Christian rock, but I do know my 90s rock, and it fits right in. Imagery of dirt and mud.
Come down to mud, stepped in bleach.
Feelings of helplessness, begging for support.
I'm waiting by the phone, waiting for you to call me up and tell me I'm not alone.
I mean, this guy doesn't even have that mewling, scrubbed clean Christian music voice.
Can't feel my feet touching the ground.
I'm kind of impressed. This is credible. I can easily imagine hearing this alongside, some of the softer bands like Toad the Wet Sprocket or even REM. My biggest problem with Christian music is how edgeless much of it is, but this is actually harder than a lot of things that were popular in 90s rock. Well, out of nowhere string quartet. I guess that's a little afield of most 90s rock, but it's not that out there. I wonder how many people bought the album without any idea that they were religious. I mean, the spirituality of the song isn't preachy in any way. It's mostly about his feelings. It's not trying to tell you all the answers. He's just begging for help from God.
Lift me up, keep me from drowning again.
Although, I'm not sure it makes sense to ask God for help from the flood, seeing as he's the one who sent it. Honestly, that's kind of a question I have about prayer in general. Okay, to be fair, they said this song is not actually about Noah's flood. It's a metaphor.
But if I can swim after 40 days in my mind.
Kind of a weird thing for a Christian band to use a Christian reference that is 100% not literal. It's like if they sang, "We have a friend in Jesus," and Jesus was a metaphor for the mailman or something. But anyway, yeah, I get it. I am pleasantly surprised here. Of course, this is One Hit Wonderland, so it's time to figure out why a band with that much crossover appeal eventually retreated back into the comforting world of the church. Were they horrified and corrupted by the sinful world of the flesh? When we talk about how Jars of Clay followed this up, we need to clarify what we're talking about, because Jars of Clay had two separate careers. One as Christian artists, where they were megastars with 11 number one hits, and that of crossover artists in the secular market, where they were less successful. So, first let's look at their main career path in worship music, where their follow-up was called Love Song for a Saved. Nope.
And fall in his arms, and the tears will fall down and will break. I want to fall in love with you.
Oh, this is bad. Ugh. Whatever points they gained for Flood, they just lost with me. This is the preachy anodyne crap that I was afraid this was going to be. I hear they use this in ads for ChristianMingle.com, which is creepy. I Love You Jesus songs are all creepy. They're creepy in exactly the way from that South Park episode.
Whenever I see Jesus up on that cross, I can't help but think that he looks kinda hot.
Keep it going now.
Also, why do you want to fall in love with Jesus? Don't you already love Jesus? Ew, icky, gross. But anyway, let's check into the more interesting facet of their career, the mainstream rock band. Obviously, most of their hits were not suitable for the rock stations, so their label never tried to push them there, but there were a couple of songs that did manage a tiny bit of airplay. Here's one of those few. It is called Crazy Times.
You're cold that way, and that's why you say.
Oh yeah, I remember this one. 'Cause I am barely breathing, I can't find the air. No.
Seems it's always the crazy times you find. You'll wake up and realize.
God, this is so 90s. Gotta dig that plaid pork pie hat. Are we sure this wasn't just an evangelical side project for Collective Soul?
Spiral down. You've broken your crown. You don't feel like a queen.
I'm, not finding any religious themes at all in this one. I've read that Jars of Clay didn't want to be a band that sang strictly about their faith, but about their lives, so as not to put people off. I don't think that's always been true of them, obviously, but I can see where they're going. You really have to dig to find any spiritual message here. Apparently Christian bands could get away with that in the 90s. I don't know, it's no Flood though. That's probably why it only barely crept onto the modern rock stations. It just didn't resonate with people the way that the profound, gripping lyrics of Gavin Rossdale did. But despite their declining mainstream appeal, they still managed to go on tour with like Matchbox 20 and Sting, which there was actually a Christian backlash about. Because what kind of message does that send, hanging out with those purveyors of sin? I wanna push you around? This promotes violence. And Sting, well, let's not even go there. They were a Christian band good enough to cross over to the mainstream. Yeah, what do you think? Of course they did. Now, they're one of the biggest Christian rock bands of all time, as far as I can tell, so eat that, Stryper. Get lost, Stephen Curtis Chapman. And other acts I've never actually listened to. And despite them being a little softer edge than I Like My Rock, yeah, I'm finding that a lot of their stuff holds up.
I never minded calling you a king.
Okay, not this one. This one sucks. This one is another, hey God, you're the greatest thing ever song. I don't like those. God's a very needy, insecure guy is what it seems like. Ugh. If I were God, I'd get sick of it. Although I do think it's interesting that even in the world of Christian rock, the difference between 1995 and 1999 is stark. Hey now, you're a God star, get your Lord on, go pray. But yeah, they have been working pretty continuously. They have a lot of albums, some of them are rock, some of them are more traditional hymn stuff. Most of them didn't strike me as all that interesting looking, but one of them did catch my eye. Their 8th album from 2006, Good Monsters, which they called their first rock album. Yeah, I feel that. It's almost a little Foo Fighters-y even. Boy, this is an inappropriate gesture.
All the good monsters open their eyes.
And then there's this, the title track. And this one appears to be about the good people who don't speak up when they see bad shit going down.
Now the monsters are bad, but the ones who are good never do what they could, never do what they could.
Now that's a message I can get behind. And apparently they mean what they say about the need to stand up for people, because a couple of years ago the front man went on this long tweet rant about how opposing gay marriage makes no sense, everyone should be able to marry, same love and all that. It was 2014, I know. This stance was basically controversial nowhere. Except with Jars of Clay fans. Now, when your fan base is made up of evangelicals, that's kind of a big deal. They got some pretty furious attacks on that one, so that was kind of a gutsy move. Makes me wonder if I was too hard on Christian music. Hey, God. I've been respectful enough this review, right? I'm not going to hell or anything, am I? My child, I forgive you. I don't really listen to Jars of Clay anymore anyway. I'm more about Christian hip-hop now. Have you checked out Lecrae? No, but, I'll be sure to check him out. I know when you're lying, Todd. Sorry, it's not my genre, okay? Did they deserve better? Well, all will receive their just reward when the Lord calls them home. But they seem like they've done well enough.
If I can swim after 40 days.
The fact that they crossed over at all is shocking on its own for a Christian band. I don't think they were trying at all to be mainstream, that was just a bonus. It was a good time for Christian rock, unlike nowadays when the market appears to have dried up for everyone except the blandest, least creative acts in the world. So I give Jars of Clay the highest praise I will ever give a Christian music group. I could almost mistake them for a real band. Okay, I'm good, right? Good?
But if I can't swim after 40 days and my mind is crushed while the thrashing waves lift me up so high that I cannot fall